Morning, writers! Hello, welcome back. It is a gloomy day. We're going to brighten it up with some writing. So, your true and false pieces yesterday. Had a good time reading some, all of them. Some really used those strategies really well. The sizzling start, the tightening tension, and the exciting ending. There was one I wanted to show you, but I didn't get to ask the person whether it was okay if I show it. But the tightening tension that they stretched out went for like 2 pages. They had skipped lines, but it was really one long problem, which was really great, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Now, let's see what you thought about whether I was telling the truth about my holiday story. So this is the poll that was on the narrative page, which you got to through your class page and then narrative at the top. And more people thought it was true than false. Interesting. And to see whether it was true or false, just watch this video.
See how good the hinge is?
Yeah.
There's not much wood there.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yep.
You want to let it out a bit?
Yep. I am.
All right, hang on.
Yep.
You got it?
Oh wow, that's really effective. Oh.
Boy.
So yes, it was indeed true, and I have a bruise on my ankle to prove it. I wonder how I could have made it seem less true, because too many people believe me. Maybe I was too genuine. Anyway, we are here for week 1 Tuesday writing, so let's go in and have a look. We are doing something called dynamic dialogue for your informative pieces at the moment. So I'll show you the strategy in just a second. You're going to watch this video that I'm recording right now, and then you're going to watch this interview with an astronaut over on Australia's Science Channel. Ignore the fact that this young person interviewing her has a literal dog collar on. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to skip over the intro for now. It does have a little bit of information for you. But here's what we're doing for dynamic dialogue. Let me show you the strategy. Dynamic dialogue, which is basically putting quotes or even statistics sometimes, but we're focusing on quotes today. Quote statistics in your informative writing to make it more convincing. Because you're trying to convince someone of a fact, usually. Convincing/informative. And here you go, you can get ready to write this strategy down. Strategy is, who says? Something my sister used to say to me all the time when we were growing up. I'd say it needs to be like this, and she's like, well, who says? I'm like, I say. Who says? You've got to actually have someone important who has said it to prove your point. And the other part of that strategy, let me just move it up. Make sure you use speech marks for the words they said. For example, I love ice cream, said Barack Obama. If you put the speech marks at the end, you are saying that he said, quote, I love ice cream, said Barack Obama, said Barack Obama. He didn't actually say the said Barack Obama bit, so we get rid of these speech marks. That's what he said. And you always have a comma there as well inside the speech marks. There we go. So for today's activity, you're going to practice this first of all. We're not going to use it for your informative writing straight away, but you're going to practice it first. You're going to pick a quote that stands out to you from this astronaut video and see which fact supports it. Which fact it supports, sorry. So let's have a look at the video.
Thanks for talking to me tonight. My pleasure. I've been interested in space and becoming an astronaut since I was 5 and I'm now 11. My mum and grandparents have really supported me, like for instance giving me loads of space books and documentaries and other information. My grandmother, who was also a child of the 60s like you, also really wanted to become an astronaut, but she was laughed and mocked at by all her teachers in her school and didn't end up becoming an astronaut. Did you also have this problem, and who encouraged and supported you when you were a kid?
A lot of words in there, and the kid's talking really fast, but basically, in the 60s, there wouldn't have been a lot of support, is what the kid's saying. A lot of support for girls to become astronauts, and she's saying, how about you? Because my parents have really supported me, she says. How about your parents? Funny freeze frame face. And I'm just going to pick this first quote, because I know what's coming up, and I'm going to show you how to use the quote to support a fact. So here's the quote coming up.
Did have the problem in the 60s. Being an astronaut wasn't really a career choice for anybody. I mean,
okay, so that's the first quote, e.g., in the 60s, being an astronaut wasn't really a career choice for anyone. Which is going to go on, which is the important bit. This means the 1960s, the 1900s, which is the century I was born in.
didn't have an astronaut until really the early 60s, and they were all men.
We didn't have an astronaut until the early 60s, and they were all men. Men. So there's our quote year 5. I'm going to put it in italics. You don't need to in your writing though. So that fact shows you that not many people in the 60s became astronauts. Sorry, that quote shows you this fact. Not many people in the 60s became astronauts, especially women. So there are only a very few astronauts, and they were all men. So that's the quote that we got from the video. And the fact that she's talking about is that not many people in the 60s became astronauts, especially women. So there you go. So today's activity is to pick a quote that stands out to you and then see which fact it supports. If you submitted something like this, in the 60s, equals, not many people in the 60s became astronauts, especially women. That is exactly what we're looking for. To make it even better, you'd have quote there, and then you'd have the fact that it supports there. We are looking for, I reckon we can go at least 3, and 5 would be great. I reckon you could do 5 pretty easily as you watch the rest of that video. So there you go, year 5s. You can check the rest of the description for what you do if you have more time. And we are looking forward to seeing your writing soon. Okay, thanks, bye.